Alright, today in an attempt to avoid extreme boredom, I'm going to pull some filter caps from this sansui a-5 just for the heck of it. No, not really just for the heck of it. But I'm going to pull them and check them just for curiosity reasons. So I'm actually going to do this for two reasons. Number one, this amp kind of seems to stumble when you give the volume control a little bit of a goose. So that's the first reason. The second reason is I just ran into something interesting with the A7 here I've been working on for a long time. And the filter caps on the A7 actually turned out to be half of what they were supposed to be in value. And it was bad enough that I didn't notice a difference in sound, but what happened is, since that amp doesn't have a protection circuit and a speaker relay, and has a muting circuit, when you turn the amp off, I was getting excessive thump. And it turned out that the filter caps weren't sufficient. And when I replaced them, it got rid of the turn-off thump. So it looks like there's there's one up here with easy access, and the other one, it looks like this rail is kind of in the way of. So it's a 3300 at 42 volts. So let's just see what we get, just for the sake of science. Now, if I can insert humor that's humorous to me anyway, we're going to try two methods that I consider unreliable methods of determining a capacitance value. And this is the first one. 2700. That's actually better than what I was expecting. So now I'm going to try the second unreliable method. And see what this method says. Sometimes you got to take a general consensus of opinions. $2,700. Two inconsistent measuring methods that agree. Well, that's kind of within 20%. So now I got to try to figure out what I want to do, because I just truly really need something to do here. So I'm kind of at the point here where something comes to mind that somebody once said to me. They said, do something even if it's wrong. And you know, this relates back to my statement I think I made earlier. You have to be very careful about what the value is of these filter caps, because there's critical timing happening on charge and discharge. So with that in mind, I have some 4700s here at 50, and the ripple current on these is 2.1 amps. This was like the best out of like 5 or 6 different caps that I just looked at here real quick. The leakage current is 4 microamps, so it's very, very low compared to other electrolytics. Now, sitting here thinking about this for a minute, it's not extremely likely at all that I would have any problem on turnoff with a 4700 microfarad in there. But it's more likely I would maybe having a problem with turn on. And I'm just kind of thinking, am I this really this bored today that I want to try this? because I think I'm going to have to replace the rectifier too. See if the transformer's happy with that. I don't know. I would kind of feel better if I had a 3900 here to deal with, and I do not. So I'm going to look at this RB152, and I know a little bit about it, and I know it's got very, very low reverse leakage current. I think it was 5 microamps. So I'm going to look at the surge current on that rectifier again, and I'm thinking it was only around 50 amps was the surge current. So I'll look at that and see if I can figure out whether or not I actually want to try this or not. $2,702. 2 dead ringers for $2,700. Oh my, don't try this at home. That's all I really got to say. After spending 2.5 hours of running figures through my head here, I came to some realizations. Number one, the project was going nowhere because it seriously lacked honeymoon sweet and a large amount of caffeine. And then right after the caffeine, I came to realize that I unplugged the freezer 3 hours ago to plug in the Tesla coil. So, you know, oh my. So this is what I came up with here. This is really starting to get interesting. Don't try this on an a-5. So I got both 4700 mic filter caps in. I looked at this little piddly RB152, which is a 1.5 amp rectifier. It has extremely low reverse leakage current. I'm thinking it was only like 5 microamps. The surge current on it I think was 40 amps. So this is what I'm going to try. Okay, I got some MBR 3200 Schottky rectifiers. And Schottky's are something I don't know a lot about. I haven't had a lot of experience with them. But they're a whole different ball of wax. They're known for extremely low reverse leakage currents, high forward surge current handling abilities. Unfortunately, they don't have real high PIV or PRV, peak inverse or reverse voltage ratings. But these have a forward surge current over half a sine wave of 80 amps. And they'll handle 3 amps forward, which isn't a concern here. The concern is the forward surge current and leakage current. The leakage current on these is 50 microamps. This is like the lowest thing I have. So this is like 5 times more leaky than the rectifier bridge that was in it. But this is what I did. Tried to find a way I can fit 4 of these on a board. So disregard the epoxy on the page. But looking at this RB152 there, this is what we got sitting there on the circuit board. 4 holes, and this is how the diodes tie into it. So I just wanted to see how many possibilities there are of getting diodes across that point. And it's just not going to happen. There's not enough space. The pads are too small. So put the diodes on another board and configure them like this is really the best I can come up with for this small of circuit board. And I set the pin spacing across here at 7.5 millimeters. So what I'll do is pull Sansui's terminal off of here, out of the board, tie both ground wires hard down into the circuit board after removing the strip, and then take my 2 pins and insert my 2 pins for the 2 purple wires that are setting down here, and this board will set right into the circuit board. And then I'll just pull these 22 gauge off, pull this rectifier out, and tie these 22 gauge wires down into the rectifier pads. So that's the method to the madness at this point. So what I ended up with here is a pretty well organized little assembly that worked out pretty good doing it that way. The only thing I see that I really don't care for here is Sansui has their signal lines running around this side of the board, and obviously they had them probably about an inch from the rectifier, which here really isn't any different. But I don't like that, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this connector and take these off of this side of the board, swap them to the other side of the board, maybe put a little piece of shielded cable on here. I'm not sure, and I might just lay a shield across this corner of the board on top, and it's going to have to be an insulated shield, because if you're going to do something, you might as well do it right. At least that's the way I think. So here's kind of how I do things. I don't throw anything away. I save everything. So I save blister packs when I get them. And I actually used this on the a-7 to make an insulator for under the board, so that no solder or anything would splash down on it. So here's kind of where I'm at. If a person wanted to put an insulated shield over that section of the board, how do we figure out how wide it needs to be? Because we can't get anything down in there to really measure it, unless I measure it off the back side. But so this is how I do things. I use a piece of solder. So basically that wide. And I can certainly get that out of this blister pack. So sometimes I feel like electronics has got to be the most time-consuming thing in the world, because I've literally been working at this for like 9 straight hours now, and I feel like I've got nothing done with it. And I can pretty much justify and vouch that I have been working. So it's not like I went into a blackout and just don't remember. So, you know, that's just how it is. So I got this shield in here, and I think just making this little tiny shield to put in there took me a good part of 2.5 hours. So got the shield in, and unfortunately these cables had to come out because they were where the shield goes, down into the top of the board. So I had to do something a little unconventional. And I really didn't like to do this, but after I looked at it for a while, I was like, okay, I will. So I had to put the cables on the back side of the board here, because there just simply wasn't enough room, clearance, to the bottom, to really get the connectors and stuff on here without maybe creating an issue. So I needed like low profile here. So I put them on there, and I think that'll be okay, because the way this is put together, I don't foresee there ever being a need to take those cables off at that point. If need be, they can be taken off up here, where they connect in. And it almost kind of looks like I might have compensated too much in my loop, because actually I didn't want that much of a loop but I didn't want the cables to be stressed either. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might end up having to, that stinks. Because I think it took probably 45 minutes just to make these two little tiny cables. Just to find out that now I'm cutting the end off of it, maybe. Because I'm just so incredibly particular. Cutting the end of it off, just to trim 1.5 inches of wire off of it. I don't know if that's even worth it. I guess it depends who you are as to whether or not that's worth it. So, but anyway, that's where it's at. Still don't even know. Maybe tomorrow it'll be powered up and see what happens. Appreciate you watching. Have yourself a wonderful day.